Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all our viewers who've joined us today for this very important and insightful session brought to you all by EDU TV. This is Tanya, your host for the day, and today's discussion is centered around parenting, a word that evokes a mix of love, responsibility, and learning to all of us. With us today, we have two extremely respected voices from the world of education who interact with hundreds of children and families every day, and their insights will help us all look at parenting through a wider and more practical lens. It's my honor to welcome Dr. Anshu Arora, the principal of Amity International School,
Thank
a renowned,
you.
a renowned educator and thought leader who has contributed immensely to the field of education, and Mr. Kundanlal Dogra, the principal of MB International School, Jammu,
Namaskar, thank you.
a respected voice in progressive schooling and holistic student development. I welcome you both, and I'm truly honored to have you both with us today.
I
Thank
think it's
you.
my honor. Sir is also very happy to be here. We are really excited about this
Yes,
discussion.
Thank you. Thank you
we
so much.
are we are deeply excited to be here in
Thank
this
you. Thank you
platform
so
today.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. To begin with, I would want to go ahead with a very simple yet a very profound question. How has the role of parents evolved over the last decade, especially talking about the post-COVID time and today's digital age? Dr. Anshu, if we could start with you, please.
According to me, parenting is so much for this generation. Honestly, if you ask me, it is this generation of people who are really genuinely doing parenting. If you talk like 50 years back in time, there was a community which was growing up. The whole community was supporting a child. So probably I could go to my uncle, aunt, cousin, grandparents, and a huge, like large number of cousins and relatives and even my neighbors. So as much as my father and mother were protective and taking care of me, my neighbor could also stop me on the road and say, beta, it's getting late, go back home. But this is the generation where parenting has become very important. Parents are doing it very sincerely, I must really acknowledge. And I also have my little doubt that this may not actually exist 50 years later. The way things are changing, the way things are evolving. Having said that, parenting in certain cases has become a very helicopter kind of a parenting. So what to do, how much to do, what to avoid, what not, those are a lot of do's and don'ts which we need to actually discuss. So that's my little take to start with.
Dogra, sir, if you could have your inputs on the same.
Yes, I'm totally in support of what ma'am has just now said. The world is very dynamic and parenting has become equally dynamic. The times where we grew up as small children, the things were different. We had a lot of independence actually, and we grew up on our own. But nowadays, as ma'am has said, helicopter parenting has dominated in all spheres. Even the child, what he has to eat is decided with the parent, and even the bite is put into the mouth of the child, and with the phone in the hand, that's how it is done. And that's very surprising, actually. Things have changed, as ma'am has really said, and things are changing further. We never know what kind of parent is going to have later on. But the most important thing here is due to over involvement of some of the parents, as I have seen, not all of them, but some of them, due to over involvement, what is happening is that the individuality of the children, that is not, they're not growing as individual. They are totally dependent on what the parent is doing, how the parent is making the child to move forward. Of course, every parent has aspirations. They are being put up for the children also to come up with, but then it's equally important that parents give little independence to the children. Then only they'll think, they'll act and react to the scenarios. Ultimately, everybody has to live their own life. Parents cannot be supporting them all the times everywhere. With
Yeah,
with with,
that's
with the new media systems coming in, and a lot of school parents are also pressurizing the schools, give us the access of the CCTVs of your our students, our child's classrooms. But then to some extent child needs to have little independence as well. We cannot go on to that level, I believe so, because then only the child would grow. They'll come home, they'll share their experiences, they'll share their learnings. Otherwise, the parent will keep on imposing things. That's too much of things are going on. I believe so.
I think
Absolutely.
so, rightly said. I think I'll also like to add a little more. I was very happy when Sir was describing all this. But I also feel that equally there is a set of parents who are not so involved also. So
They are.
actually what we really need is a very fine balance. Neither can you abandon a child and just not take care of his needs, nor can you be there on his head completely and try to dictate terms or maybe live your dreams through them. Basically, we need to understand Vedantic philosophy says it that we can only bring out in the child what he already has. Every child is unique, every child is special. It's the responsibility of parents and teachers to understand what that quality, what those innate talents are. And then, together, being on one page, we should try and nurture those qualities and talents. So, I think it's a very responsible job, number one.
Yes.
And I must say that there is never a training for it. No one is ever trained to become a parent, but then you become a parent. And yes, there are doubts. There are confusions. Being a mother of two kids, if you ask me, I also keep assessing whether I'm a good enough parent. So you will have your moments of doubts, you will have your moments of accomplishments, and you have to also, but still kind of, live through it. There'll be good and bad days as a parent. It's not a very consistent thing. It is not a very rewarding thing either. Never will your child completely say, oh, that no one is ever going to come and pat your back. No eels, no seals. It's a tough thing. You still have to do it 24/7 with lot of commitment, lot of patience, patience, and patience. Parenting is not policing. It is, you know, being with the child consistently, at times handhold, at times guide, at times be with the child. So that's what a parent has to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think,
Gen
ma'am, you've answered most of the part of the second question that I was coming to, where I wanted to ask you on the balancing discipline and freedom.
Yeah, but
So
I will still like to add a line.
yes,
There's a complete set of parents who feel we are the best friends to our child. I mean, my one bit tip is your child has a lot of friends. Don't make
already.
all the extended effort to become his friend. You don't have to be your child's best friend. Be friendly, yes. Have a comfort zone so that he can open up with you, but not that you have to be the most popular person or the best friend. Let them have their own friends. You are the only set of parents that the child has. He has a lot of friends. So let's not even try and go beyond the lines, and you have to guide the child. A friend will not guide your child. You are the one who will have to do it.
Yes,
absolutely.
somewhere we need to have a line where a parent can be a friendly part with his child, but then children should have friends of their own age mates. Then only they grow, they learn, they experiment. Child, otherwise gets dependent upon the parent because parent is my friend, but he doesn't have a media, he doesn't have a connect with the people outside. So it's very important that parents take care that the child is guided well. But then in addition to that, what is more important is that when the parent is guiding, what actually happens, we keep on putting our instructions down them. More importantly, what we request our parents, we conduct sessions for the parents. We tell them that you should have, free time with the children, let the children speak. But when it comes to children speak, let the children speak, not the parents speak. Otherwise, parent keeps on giving his instructions
Correct.
to the child. So we request them not to
Yeah.
pump their instructions on them. Let the child come back home, share his experiences, his doubts, what kind of things he had, what expectations he had. Maybe there was some amount of anxiety that he went through. Thereafter, the parent can talk about some remediation or certain things which can be concluded. But generally, what happens is that when the parents are asked to have a free time with the children, talk to the children, it's the parent talking and the child listening. That is something that needs to be changed. There, we keep on guiding the parents, but then parenting is totally a hit and trial thing. Generally seen, the parents, when we become parents, we try everything on our first child, and the
The
first child
first child
becomes
then becomes
becomes
a
the experiment.
project.
Yes, the project. And when
Yeah.
it comes to second child, we have already seen how much we have failed in doing that. And the second child grows independently, sometimes grows better. It happens.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Dogra sir, you mentioned about parents asking for the CCTV footages. Then ma'am also quoted a few examples. Coming to our third segment of the session today, the school and the parent partnership. So, what, according to you, is the ideal role of a parent in a child's school life? I mean, talking about the role of school that has evolved, and increasingly we hear about the parent and student partnership, the parent and the school's partnerships a lot. Like you mentioned, you hold a lot of sessions. I'm sure at Dr. Anshu Arora's school also
Everybody's.
hold a lot of
Mm.
sessions for school, for parents also at the
Yes.
school. So, sir, what according to you is the ideal role of a parent in a child's school life, please?
See, a parent nowadays is highly educated and experienced as well. So he's got diverse experience. So what we try to do at our end is we call the parents to for conducting sessions with the children. They come and do hand holding of the teachers also in between related to certain topics or aspects or sharing their experiences with the children. It helps them to, understand how the careers flow, how diverse careers flow. A teacher might not be able to talk about so many careers, but then
Mm.
when we have parents from different careers coming over, they talk, they tell the children, they give their talks, they give their interaction, they sit in the classes, interact with the children. So that is the way we feel that the children gets to know the first-hand experience of kind of future careers they can look into, and they learn from the experiences of the parents also.
I think that is something most schools are doing, and we also
Most
have
of them.
Anubhav series, which means we are
Mm,
learning
mm.
from the experience of our
Yeah,
parents. I think it's so needed. To bring up a child, we actually need a whole village. So we need parents, we need teachers, we really need the whole community to be there.
we did.
In a student's life, Tanya, if I have to just add one line, sir, with your permission, I would just
Yeah,
say
please.
that it is important, like school follows a timetable. There is a discipline. If the parent can also ensure that kind of regularity and sincerity is drilled in the child, it's important that when the child gets back home, you need to talk to your child, find out what happened, and then ask him to at least open all his books and notebooks once. And I encourage my parents, like my teachers are signing all the notebooks, please you also put a little signature and say seen, so that we also know that we are all at the same page. You are seeing what the child is doing. If he has any homework, project, discuss those things. Then there will be more discussion. Like we were at one point, sir said that parents and children sometimes, they don't even know what to talk about. There is very limited conversation. So your basic conversation can first start around school. Find out things about school, then their
Yeah.
peers, then their likes, dislikes, their life, what do they want to explore. So be a partner, understand what your child's mind is into. It's important to understand their conscious and subconscious mind also to some extent.
Absolutely. Ma'am, you mentioned about the first child being like a project for the parents, and but these days we've observed parents usually have just one child now, a lot of them. So,
Hmm.
talking about the managing of the screen time and the social media for kids, we've observed both parents are working parents. The child gets a lot of free time, and most of the time they are engaged, they are glued to the screens. So,
True,
screen
true.
time has become a major parenting challenge today. How can parents manage their children's digital exposure without conflict and
So I think
negativity?
there are now, as I look at it, two parts of your question. One, in the first thing you said, one child. Oh yes, it's a big trouble. Like I said earlier, I remember class 10th cake question paper, there was a line called Mohalledari, and the child was struggling to understand the meaning. That is kind of, those kind of words don't exist. We had cousins, at home, and really a big number. Today, children don't have siblings at home, so it's, a lot of pressure on the parent also, honestly, and on the child also. That what will the child do? Why did we not do too much of screen? I mean, obviously there was not enough screen, but then we had enough to do on our own. All the various games we used to play was keeping us so busy, and we wanted to all the time go out in the garden and play, and have our own carom or indoor games and everything. Today, with a single child, that's a little issue. So you will have to be that little kid with him. You will have to take your child out and have some games with them. Screen time as much as possible. From my side, it's a big no, no, no. There is nothing, there has to be a very limited time given to the child with the screen, and even the screen time should be monitored. And the parent should ensure that certain sites are not even available for the child to watch. What the child is doing needs to be monitored the rest of the time. It's important to go out, pursue a sport, pick up one instrument and learn some kind of music, have beautiful hobbies and pursue them. Because if, even let's say at my age, if I'm not doing all of this, then the next thing I have is my laptop and my phone. So that's the next best thing to go to. So why even go to the next? Let's stay in the zone where we meet people, we socialize, we do things, go out and reach out to your children. And they should not need the screen.
Right. Dogra sir, what are your views on the same, please? I mean,
Yes, of course.
how can parents manage their children's digital exposure without conflict and negativity?
Right. See, what has actually happened is that the work culture has now changed. A lot of times, parents are also working from home, or when they are back home, they are still sending reports back to their offices. They're almost all the time glued to their devices. What we suggest to the parents and how we try to do this is there are a lot of privacy settings that are available nowadays. Where, when I give you a small example, when my son came to class 8, I attended a cyber security session. And there, the person guided us on how you can, regulate the digital footprint of your children. There, what I did, I asked my son about this privacy settings in his phone and in our whole family environment. So I made him to do the settings on my phone, created a family where all four of us were joined together. Then everybody's phone got linked with their locations. Plus, on his phone, I got it settled that he can operate his phone between this particular slot. Secondly, for this particular, for example, he used to play a game, he could play game for 20 minutes. He could watch certain YouTube factors, which age appropriate channels on for 20 minutes. And this way we got the settings done. Overall time allotted to him was 45 to 50 minutes. So what used to happen thereafter was the moment he would switch on the phone, I would get a notification. And then after 45 or 50 minutes, his phone would get switched off. Then he cannot switch it on for the day. In addition to that, we had done a lot of settings with him that whatever he has to download, the mail comes to me, I give the permission, then only he can download this. So I suggested these activities to some of our parents also. And I suggested to almost everybody I meet that this kind of settings we should do with the children so that they know that what I am being watched, the way it is happening, so that it is regulated.
Oh,
Until date,
that's
there's
brilliant. But
a
please tell us how the phone gets switched off. Even I am intrigued.
Yes, there are privacy settings there. You create a
Okay.
family there. When you create a family, you add your children who are below the age of 18. So it tells us the minor. So minor is allowed to do what all things. So there
Okay.
are settings available. You can do that.
Very good suggestion, sir, coming
All the
from your
apps
side.
that you want to do, though you can restrict those apps
Yes,
as well.
limiting the time is really,
Yeah.
really needed,
And
and there should be
and the
some, I mean, the dining
mobile
tables, we should sit
timetable,
down and
mobile,
eat without
yes,
the phones. Parents will
mobile
also have to
timetable.
do some kind of de-addiction. They
Mm.
also will have to stay away from devices. And
It
when they're
has to be there.
working, they need to tell their kids that this is work time and it is not like they're just idling away
Yes,
time. So
yes.
there's a difference. If the child is working or the
There,
parent might have a
yes,
late night meeting, that's very different from the parent just, going on one side to the other and these kinds, they just suck your time basically. You're
they
just
do.
glued to a chair and you become a very passive participant in it. It's not doing too much to your brain. Yeah, a lot of fun and entertainment, but then does not give you too much. So those pros and cons also need to be explained to
Yes.
the child.
Families need to create a timetable of the gadgets also. Evening, they should have a tea time when there are no gadgets around, no television around, so that they can talk. People are not
Exactly.
talking nowadays. Then in the evening also, there should be a cutoff time. As what I've done, even my daughter's in university and son is in +2, but still there's a rule in the house, 10 o'clock, they have to switch off their devices and keep it in our bedroom. So they're not going to stay with their devices in the late evenings also. So this kind of rules and regulations, I think the family
Yeah,
should have,
rules
but
are needed, and
yes,
the only
it
thing we
has
can do
to
is
it has
be
to
a
start from the
little,
parent side first.
be a little democratic and just sit
Yeah,
with the child and frame the
what
rules
about
with their, understanding and
obviously,
their
yeah.
acceptance.
It has
Because
to be
once you
mutual.
say it's only these many hours, they'll obviously protest. So maybe you start with half an hour, then settle for 45 minutes.
That's how I told you, initially these settings, my son did it in his phone when he was in standard 8. I didn't do it for him. He did it,
Uh-huh.
but then later on he realized, Papa, ये तो गड़बड़ हो गई. But then that's how things work.
Yeah,
That's
like
how
in
things work.
COVID, we were teaching maths and children were teaching us computers. So
They were.
children know much more than sometimes what the adults would know.
It not withstanding the fact children need this exposure.
They
It's
do,
not that they don't need
yes.
the
Yeah,
exposure.
we
They
don't
need
have
the
to
digital
cut it
exposure.
off. We just have to
Yes,
balance
but
it.
they need to restrict the digital footprint actually, otherwise it might go the wrong way. They need to
Yeah.
understand that whatever social media footprints we are creating, these are going to be used in the interviews, and the interviewers are going to use it in the times to come. So we might get rejected even before we have faced the interview because our digital footprint was not right. So this thing
Hmm.
we should keep on promoting along with
And
the
the
young
way
people.
sir is telling me, like I tell my class 12th, when you post your picture, you tell me, can you come to the assembly and show me that picture on a PPT? The whole school will
Yeah.
view it. No, ma'am.
Mm,
I said, then why did you post it? If you
mm,
posted that on your Facebook or your Insta, then the whole world is seeing it. Sometimes
yeah.
children don't even realize the depth of, how things are. You
Correct.
said, no, no,
Mm,
ma'am, वो तो मैंने अपने उस पे लिखा site पर. There is nothing called my site, my app. It's
Yes.
all very open
All public.
platform, and they
Absolutely.
should understand what they need to share is something which is completely public material for them. If they
yes.
think one picture is a private family picture, it should not even go on a social media.
Correct. Absolutely.
But if we don't go out of track, this is being done by these young teachers as well. So we need to keep on telling teachers as well what kind of post you are doing. Your students are following
Yes.
you, or parents are following you.
Yes. Yes.
You, you,
Sometimes,
you
yes,
need to
these
you
days
need to roll
we
that out. That's
true.
happening. That challenges are there.
Right. Moving to the next segment of the session, ma'am. Traditionally, we have seen that mothers were seen as the primary caregivers for children. Thankfully, now that's not the case and it's changing. How do you see the role of fathers evolving in the parenting space today?
I think fathers always had a role. Some had very silent role, or maybe some were busy. We have undermined our parents. I must say, my father had a big role in my growing up. And I don't, I mean, mother still to me remains the primary caretaker. I don't know. We really need to educate our girls that certain years, the first 2 years of a child's life, it has to be handled by the mother. And there is nothing, to feel that no, the father only has to do it. There has to be a balance. Certain things have to be done by the father, by the mother. They both have to co-parent. There's no competition going on here. They both must contribute as much as they can. Maybe in a one household the father may be good artist, or the father may be a better sports person. In another household the mother may be a sports person. So whatever be the qualities of the parents, they must reach out to their child with those, and then not be in competition with each other, but be together as a family and co-parent. And things are changing. Parents have now, fathers, of course, that stigma little, which like boys ये नहीं करेंगे, kitchen में नहीं जाएंगे, कपड़े नहीं धोएंगे,
Oh,
all
that's
that we are
gone.
done with. Now boys are active, and they have to be, because the women are also going out. They are putting in so many precious hours. They also come home little exhausted. So if you want, वो तो दो wheels हैं आपकी अपनी life के. So if you don't keep those two wheels in balance, parenting एक अलग बात है, वो तो spouse relationship पे भी reflect होता है. So yes, there has to be a balance, and it has now changed. The scenario has changed. It's
Absolutely.
got better, but with one kid, they both have to be more careful.
Dogra sir, what are
Yes,
you
with families going nuclear, responsibilities of both parents have
And
increased
sometimes
manifold.
single, so
Yeah,
then the
single as well.
responsibilities are very different.
As ma'am has already said earlier, that earlier what happened was there was a child in the family and the whole family took care of the child. Child did not have psychological problem. There was nothing called as stress. There was nothing like called as I'm getting bored or something. And everything was learning and being cared by. But now
Yeah.
everything has come on to gadgets, the parents, the television, the media. So the scenarios are changing. So their role of father and mother are equally important. But yes, it's not that this boys have a separate responsibility and girls don't have it. But one experience I've shared, wherever mothers are very strict, the children are on the line. They don't cross the line so very easily. So,
Hmm.
but it remains wherever there's a strict mother. I had a very strict mother. My wife is a very strict mother, and I've seen it through. I've seen it through strict
But
mothers.
that's such a
They
beautiful
guide
thing,
the children.
sir. But I'll add
Mm.
one more thing here.
Yeah.
In my household, I would say my father was very strict. But then my
Okay.
mother was very mild. I mean, she was the most
Mm.
docile person I've ever met in life. But then they had a pact. And the pact was that
Yes,
if mom said something, dad would support. If
that
dad
would
said
support.
something, come what may, whether my mom was for it or not, she would say, nahi, ab to dad ne bola, ab to yahi hoga. So
यही
we had
होगा.
a clarity that we could not play this thing between both of them. They both were
That's
united
what.
in their decisions, even if the decision was taken by any one of them separately.
That
Even
has to be
then, they
there.
both stood together and said, okay, this is what it is. It has been
Mm.
now decided. So I think that's a
That's
very
true.
beautiful rule, which I think my parents followed. I would recommend that.
Mm. Then that is true. The parents have to gel together and they have to understand each other.
Yeah,
Whatever
because
decision
otherwise, some
taken is taken.
houses I have seen, because if one parent is very strict, then the children will just keep going to the one who's very lenient. So
Right.
that
But that
also should not happen.
they both should know their roles properly.
Yes,
It should
yes,
not happen that we are competing with each other. We are
yes,
supporting each other. That's more
100%.
important. Nothing of a competition within them.
I'm coming to the last segment now. What guidance would you both want to give to parents who are raising adolescents today?
Okay, so you want me to go first? Yeah,
Either of you.
I would now look at it in a slightly different angle, and I always feel that it is not just about a 6 months old or a 6 year or 16 or 26 or 36. He may be a child in front of your eyes, but after all, he's a soul, and he has his own maturity, he has his own destiny, his own journey. So we must always have that support at every age. Don't try to be very controlling, don't try to be extremely liberal. Stay with your role of a parent, respect that soul. Even the child has to be respected at home. And if especially with these teenagers, because they're very emotional, that's a very sensitive age, because a small kid would just take everything and maybe later, 10 years later, feel bad about things and voice it. And you probably cannot say much to a 20-year-old plus or something. This is a age which is very, very emotional, very you have to really handle with care, because they may just get very hit, and their hurts are very different. And today's time, children get emotionally quite derailed with very, very small things. So emotionally, we have to build them up. So we have to be careful, but it is just the same in all age. Yeah, this is of course very sensitive age.
This is true, actually, what Ma'am has said, very rightly said, and it's always been there, generations. Earlier generations always felt that the newer ones are not following the way they followed their parents. So it is going to happen all through. Only thing is the challenges are going to be different. So as parents, we need to understand the scenarios. Building mental health is important. Understanding the children is important. And of course, we cannot give them the liberty of doing anything and everything on their own. It has to be controlled. So they need to know the limits. The limits have to be set. Role of parent comes in understanding things and setting certain limits so that child knows, okay, fine, this is my limit, I cannot cross it. And then only some restrictions can be done, and then they can understand their importance also. More so, some examples can the parents can give as to what kind of things are happening around, how this action is going to be risky for the child. Of course, every child, whosoever he is, even we did this, whatever parents said, don't do it, we did it.
they,
Everybody is doing
they'll
it.
cross the lines
They'll have to, they'll do
sometimes,
that.
yes.
But then they need to know and understand that there are certain limits up to which they have to be there. And secondly, their children should always know that in case I get stuck somewhere, I have to come back to my parent for the first help that I should take care of. Because parent would be the one who would always be genuine in giving the advice. Others might not be that genuine and concerned about the child. So that connect between the child and the parent should be there so that it builds a transparency in their relationships. And the child knows that tomorrow, in case of anything required, I have to call back my parents and get a help sorted. That should be the genuine thing to do.
So before we wrap up, I'll just request both of you to share one single liner, golden piece of advice for parents. Dr. Arora.
I would say we have to raise ourselves before we raise our children. So we have to keep learning, we have to keep evolving and keep contributing our the very best that we have learned with our children.
Dogra, sir.
Yes, for all of us as the parents, we first need to listen to the children before we tell them what is to be done. I mean, that will help them out in life.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Arora and Mr. Dogra, for your valuable insights and your time today. I'm sure all the parents, educators, and even students who will be watching this episode will definitely go back with something meaningful from this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
Tanya
dear. Thank
and
you so
EDU
much. Thank
TV
you.
for having us here. I think I really enjoyed this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Thank you.
much.